As the mass COVID-19 vaccination programmes start in Europe, some Balkan states are struggling to get access to vaccines and are still waiting for their first doses to arrive. Ukraine's Prime Minister has asked the EU Commission for help accessing vaccines. Now, for more on this, let's speak to Alexander Breza. He's the host of Sarajevo Calling, a podcast about southern Eastern European affairs. Great to see you there, Alexander. Now, how much do EU neighbouring countries trust the European Union to share out the vaccine like they promised that they will?
Well, great to be here, Jack. I think that's a very, very good question. One thing that is shared by all of the countries in the region, or at least by a sentiment that is shared by all the citizens of the countries in the Western Balkans, is the uncertainty of being able to get enough doses as soon as possible. And as you said, the EU being a major factor, international factor in terms of the international presence of the international community in the region, the question remains of how many doses and how much of that we can get from the European Union itself. So to be very honest with you, right now, I think the general consensus with all of the countries is such that there's a high level of uncertainty that what we will be getting from the European Union, be it via aid or by purchasing, is simply not going to be enough.
So Bulgaria, Croatia, Poland, Hungary, I think 13 countries in total penned a letter, all signed it, sent it to the European Commission, saying that the initiatives that they're doing need to go further. Can those countries sort of help from the inside and get the vaccine spread into the neighbouring countries?
Well, that's another great question. I think you have to have some sort of a unilateral agreement on the EU level to have that happen. Of course, having the countries such as neighboring countries such as Bulgaria, for instance, or Croatia, for that matter, or Hungary, certainly helps. But on the other hand, if there's not some sort of a uniform agreement that the Western Balkans need to be taken into account, then I think the whole point is moot.
So Serbia, for instance, a Western Balkan country, is using the Russian Sputnik vaccine. Do you think that perhaps other countries might follow suit if they can't get their whole hands on the ones that the European Medicines Agency have approved?
Yes, well, Serbia is purchasing a certain number of doses of the Russian Sputnik V vaccine. Same thing could be said for the Republika Srpska entity in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, Bosnia and Herzegovina has a very complicated system where it doesn't have a health ministry, state-level health ministry, meaning that each of the two entities, health ministries, are in charge of purchasing or acquiring vaccines. And given that the Republika Srpska has already announced that they will be purchasing the Russian vaccine, I think we will be seeing all of the governments in the region, or most of the governments in the region, trying to find the best option for their citizens, be it one of the many, say, quote-unquote, Western vaccines, or the Russian-made vaccine, or one of the Chinese-made vaccines over the course of 2021.
And what about this idea of Germany now going out and buying, and the sort of power of Germany within the European Union on that? Do you think there might be some sort of lobbying from the Western Balkans on Chancellor Angela Merkel?
I think lately, and not just when it comes to the pandemic management, we have seen Germany take a more key role in the region. When it comes to the actual vaccine procurement, any help that we get is help quite welcome. So in that sense, any member of the EU decides to sort of take point and make sure that enough vaccines are available in the region, I think that will be quite welcome. Now, what does that mean for the sort of power play that happens within the EU is probably a question for someone else. Although what I can definitely tell is that I think all of us would benefit from the entire EU's involvement, and not just have one country be our advocate in the Union.
Alexander Breza, thank you so much for joining us here on Euronews tonight.